Okay, so you spend hours perfecting your CV. You're super excited about this job, and you hit send, and then nothing.
Yeah.
Crickets. So that's where today's deep dive comes in. We are looking at the book 7-Sec Grabber, How to Write a CV That Captures HR's Attention Instantly. Because those first few seconds that a recruiter spends looking at your CV are really make or break.
It really is kind of crazy. How much can you tell from just glancing at a piece of paper for a couple seconds, right?
Exactly. But the book says that's what happens. Recruiters make these super fast judgments, and we're trying to figure out how can we grab their attention so that they actually read the whole thing.
It's like that first impression. It needs to be powerful.
Yeah.
So where do we start?
Yeah, where do we start?
Well, the book says that your CV needs a strong opening line. The very top of the page that is prime real estate. You need a profile summary that's like a headline.
Oh, okay.
It should instantly tell the recruiter who you are and what you're all about. Like a movie trailer that hooks you in the first few seconds.
I like that. Okay, so we're not just sending in a CV, we're sending in a movie trailer.
Exactly. So for example, let's say you're a teacher. Instead of a vague objective statement, try something like, experienced English teacher skilled in designing engaging lesson plans and fostering interactive learning environments.
Got it. So you're not saying I want a job, you're saying I am the teacher you've been looking for.
Right. And you're backing that up with specific skills. Which brings us to the next point. Ditch the generic skills list.
What do you mean?
You know those lists that just say things like organized or team player?
Oh yeah, everyone puts those.
Right. But those are so vague. Recruiters want to see your skills in action, not just a list of buzzwords.
So how do we show them instead of tell them?
By matching your skills to the job description. If they're asking for lesson planning experience, use those exact words. Then take it a step further. Instead of just lesson planning, you could say, develop differentiated lesson plans incorporating technology and hands-on activities.
So it's not enough to just have the skills you have to prove that you've used them in a way that's relevant to the job.
You got it. And this is where things get really interesting. The order of your work experience might need a little shakeup.
What do you mean?
Well, we naturally list things chronologically, but sometimes that's not the best way to highlight what's most relevant to the job.
Oh, I see.
Like, imagine you're switching back to teaching after years in a different field.
Yeah.
Your teaching experience, even if it's older, should come first.
Okay, so we're tailoring the entire CV to the specific job. We're thinking about what they need to see, not just what we want to tell them. And speaking of, seeing the book talks about this F-pattern reading style.
Ah, yes. Recruiters don't read CVs like a novel. They scan them. Their eyes move in an F pattern, focusing on the top and left sections first.
So that prime real estate at the top of the page, we've got to use that wisely.
Absolutely. And to keep them reading, we need to understand what captures their attention. And you know what recruiters love?
What's that?
They love seeing results, not just tasks.
Okay, so instead of saying prepared lesson plans, you'd say something like designed 20-plus interactive lesson plans resulting in a 15% increase in student engagement.
Exactly. Numbers are like gold in the CV. Quantify your achievements whenever possible. Managed a team is weak. Led a team of 10 exceeding sales targets by 20%. Now that's impactful.
So even if a job doesn't directly involve numbers, we should find ways to measure our impact.
It makes a huge difference. And while we're talking about impact, let's not forget about readability. Recruiters are busy people.
Keep it short and sweet, bullet points, clear headings, that sort of thing.
Exactly. Aim for 1 to 2 pages max. Use bullet points and short sentences. And of course, proofread, like your life depends on it. A typo can be deadly.
Oh, I know. I've definitely been there. Okay, so my CV needs a serious makeover, I'm starting to realize. But before we get into that, the book also mentions these Applicant Tracking Systems, or ATS.
Ah, yes. The digital gatekeepers. These are software programs that scan your CV for keywords before a human even sees it.
So we have to impress a robot A&D.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And robots love clear formatting, standard headings, and keywords directly from the job description.
So we can't be too creative with the design.
Right? It's all about tailoring your language and presentation to your audience, whether that audience is an ATS or a human recruiter.
Okay, so to recap, we've talked about grabbing attention with that powerful opening line, using strong action verbs and keywords, quantifying achievements, and even thinking about the psychology of how recruiters read our CVs.
And we're just getting started. We'll dig into some more advanced strategies and specific examples in the next part of our deep dive.
So before the break, we were talking about how our CV doesn't have to be totally chronological.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest myths about CVs. You don't have to list everything in the order it happened.
Right. It's more about what's going to get that recruiter's attention.
Exactly. So like we were saying, if someone had been a graphic designer, then moved into project management, but now they want to go back to design, their design experience should be front and center.
Even if it was years ago.
Even if it was years ago,
Yep.
you want the most relevant experience to jump right out at the recruiter.
Got it. So it's almost like every CV we make should be like a custom-made suit.
I love that analogy. It's all about tailoring it to the specific job. And speaking of tailoring, we should talk more about those keywords.
Oh yeah, the keywords, we touched on those before, but I'm still a little fuzzy on how they work.
Well, think of them as the secret password to get past those applicant tracking systems.
The ATS? Oh man, I'm starting to think of them like those bouncers at a club.
Yeah, good analogy. If you don't have the right words on your list, you don't get in.
And that list is basically the job description.
It is. Look at the job description and use those exact words. If they're asking for client communication and problem solving, make sure those exact phrases are on your CV.
So it's less about sounding fancy and more about just speaking their language.
Exactly. And when you're describing your skills, remember the golden rule show, don't tell.
Okay.
Generic statements like excellent communicator don't really mean anything without some context.
So what would be a better way to say that?
Let's say the job you're applying for mentions social media strategy. Instead of just listing social media as a skill, you could say, developed and implemented social media campaigns, resulting in a 20% increase in follower engagement.
Oh, I see. So you're not just saying you can do it, you're showing them what you achieved.
Exactly. You're giving them proof. You're backing it up with numbers.
And recruiters love numbers.
They do. Numbers are like gold in a CV. So even if a job isn't specifically number heavy, you should try to find ways to measure your impact.
Okay, I like that. So like instead of saying organized team building events, I could say organized and facilitated 5 team building events leading to a 10% increase in cross-departmental collaboration.
Now that's a powerful statement. You're not just describing tasks, you're highlighting results. And at the end of the day, that's what recruiters really care about.
Results.
Right.
Because they want someone who can bring value to their company.
Exactly. They want someone who can make a difference. So we've got the strong action verbs, the quantifiable achievements. What else?
Well, all this talk about numbers and keywords, it's all very important, but it does start to feel a bit dry. Can't we make our CVs a little more visually appealing?
Absolutely. You want your CV to be easy on the eyes.
Yeah.
Remember that F pattern we talked about?
Yeah.
You can use clear headings, bullet points, and white space to actually guide the recruiter's eye to the most important information.
Oh, so it's like designing a website. You want people to immediately see the key elements.
It is. A well-formatted CV is going to stand out, especially when a recruiter has been staring at a stack of boring ones all day.
So what are the key elements of a well-formatted CV?
Definitely clear headings, bullet points, white space. And then the font choice is important too.
Oh, yeah.
So you want to stick with something professional and easy to read,
Yeah.
like Arial or Calibri, and definitely no crazy decorative fonts.
That makes sense. It should be easy on the eyes. And of course, we have to proofread.
Oh my gosh, yes, proofread, proofread, proofread. A typo can really ruin your chances.
It's like you spent all this time making this beautiful cake and then you just dropped it on the floor.
Yeah, exactly. All that effort goes to waste. So pay attention to the details. Your CV is a reflection of you, so make sure it represents you well.
It's like our personal brand ambassador.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered tailoring our experience using strong action verbs, quantifying our achievements, and making it all look good.
I feel like I'm finally ready to tackle this CV rewrite.
That's great. And in the final part of our deep dive, we're going to go even deeper. We'll look at some real-world examples and give you actionable steps to create a CV that truly shines.
Okay, so we're back and ready to make our CVs amazing. I'm feeling so much more confident already.
That's great because confidence is key. But remember, a truly great CV isn't about being flashy or using gimmicks.
Right. It's about being us, but like the best version of us on paper.
Exactly. It's about showcasing your unique value proposition in a way that really connects with recruiters.
Okay, unique value proposition. I like how that sounds, but what does it actually mean for our CVs?
It means thinking about what the recruiter wants. What problems are they trying to solve? What are they looking for in a candidate?
Oh, okay. So we're not just listing out our skills and experience, we're framing them in a way that shows how they would benefit the company.
You got it. Think back to our teacher example. Instead of saying created and delivered engaging lesson plans, you could say developed and implemented innovative lesson plans that increased student engagement by 15% and boosted average test scores by 10%.
Wow, okay, that's a huge EE difference. It's not just about what you did, it's about what you achieved.
And that's what makes a CV stand out. It's about the impact you made.
Okay, so we've talked about quantifying achievements, tailoring our experience using keywords. It's a lot to keep in mind. Where do we even start?
Start by thinking like a recruiter. Imagine you're looking at hundreds of CVs. What would make you stop and say, hey, this one's interesting?
Probably a CV that's easy to read, well organized, and highlights the most relevant stuff right away.
Exactly. So step one is to declutter. Get rid of anything that's not directly relevant to the job. Then organize your information in a visually appealing way. Make it easy to scan.
Okay, so clear headings, bullet points, white space. We talked about that. But how do we make our achievements sound impressive?
Use strong action verbs.
Yeah.
Instead of responsible for, say, managed, led, developed, implemented.
Oh,
And remember those numbers. Even if you can't quantify everything, look for opportunities to show your impact.
so instead of assisted with marketing campaigns, I could say something like collaborated on marketing campaigns that resulted in a 10% increase in website traffic.
Exactly. You're showing them that you're not just a helper, you're an active contributor.
I'm getting it. It's about shifting our mindset from just listing tasks to really highlighting the value we bring.
Exactly. Your CV is a marketing tool. It's how you sell yourself to potential employers. And just like any good salesperson, you need to be persuasive and results-oriented.
So we've covered a lot of ground today, and I feel like my CD writing skills have officially leveled up. Any last words of wisdom before we wrap things up?
Yes. Remember, your CV is a living document. It should change and grow as you do. So keep refining it, keep tailoring it to each job you apply for, and never start believing in yourself.
I love that. So to all our listeners out there, take action. Don't wait to update your CV. Start making those changes today and watch your job search transform. You've got this